50-year-old Sabrina Thomas has been arrested after she allegedly attacked an 11-year-old student. The incident, which was captured on video, occurred just after 3:10 p.m. on the 13th of September, when two Olsen Middle School girls began fighting off campus in Dania Beach, Florida. The authorities said that Sabrina's daughter threw the girl to the ground and hit her in the head and face. Sabrina also stepped in and struck the victim multiple times and pulled her by the hair along the ground. Detectives met with the school's principal on the 15th of September, who identified the girls in the video, who were then questioned, and Sabrina was arrested. She's been charged with child abuse without great bodily harm, battery second subsequent offence, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. She was held at the Broward Sheriff's Office jail on a $1,000 bond, with the condition that she stays away from the school. Sabrina's daughter was allegedly initially involved in a dispute with a 15-year-old girl who's an 8th grader at the school. She then turned her attention towards a 6th grader, who walked past her and told her "you can get it too," before grabbing the girl from the back and throwing her to the ground. Investigators said the attack was over a boy Sabrina's daughter and one of the other girls was dating at the same time. The authorities said Sabrina's daughter was questioned and claimed that she attacked the victim because she thought she was going to hit her first. Instead of breaking up the fight, deputies said Sabrina encouraged her daughter to continue in the brutal attack. The arrest report states that the detective told the girl that the victim could not have initiated the fight because she was at the front of her walking away when she was attacked. The investigation into the matter continues. 21-year-old Jamal Johnson is behind bars in connection to the fatal shooting of 21-year-old Teresa Jones. The incident occurred at around 11:55 a.m. on the 14th of September, when the authorities responded to a residence at 2409 Center Street in Little Rock, Arkansas, on a report of a possible suicide. The 911 call had reported hearing a gunshot and seeing a woman's body, thereby telling the police it was a suicide. When officers arrived at the home, they located Teresa's lifeless body inside. The deputies could not immediately determine the circumstances of the death, so homicide detectives were asked to review the scene. The detectives determined the death was actually a homicide and not the reported suicide, and Jamal was identified as a suspect and was arrested that same day. He's charged with first-degree murder and possession of a firearm by certain persons. 32-year-old Derek Emery is behind bars after allegedly stabbing two people. The incident occurred on the night of the 12th of September. Derek was at a birthday party at an apartment complex located along Charro Parkway in Davenport, Florida, when the host of the party asked Derek to leave for being overly intoxicated. Derek's fiancée chose to stay at the party, and the two victims volunteered to walk him back home. One of the victims knew Derek since high school, while the other just met him that day. As all three were walking down the road, the authorities said Derek pulled out his pocket knife and began stabbing the victims multiple times in an unprovoked attack. He then yelled "F you" as they ran back to the apartment for help. Both were treated for their injuries and are expected to survive. Derek told the investigators that the whole ordeal was a blur, and that during the walk home he became paranoid and felt like the two victims may harm him. At some point, he was reaching into his fanny pack for his phone. However, for reasons unknown to him, he reached into the compartment where his pocket knife was, and before he knew it, he started stabbing the victims. Derek eventually ended up walking into a Publix with a knife in his hand and blood on his shirt. He then asked management for help. He was arrested and faces charges of attempted murder. 3 teens have been arrested in connection to a deadly shooting and a robbery gone wrong. The incident occurred at around 11:30 p.m. on the 14th of September, when the authorities responded to reports of a shooting at an apartment complex located at 2801 North Grand Street in Amarillo, Texas. When officers arrived, they found 17-year-old Adam Jeremiah Mays suffering from a gunshot wound. He was transported to a local hospital, where he later died. Following the fatal shooting, police arrested 18-year-old Keza Bean Mays and 19-year-old Siobhan Mays, who have both been charged with murder. They're held at the Randall County Jail. Siobhan's bail set at $400,000. A 14-year-old girl has also been arrested and charged with engaging in criminal activity. She was booked into the youth centre of High Plains. A witness told police the 14-year-old girl confessed to the incident. The homicide is still under investigation. The New York Police Department are looking for 2 men who attacked a man with a baseball bat in a 2x4 in Midtown Manhattan earlier this week. The attack occurred at around 4:30 a.m. on the 12th of September in the 57th Street 7th Avenue subway station. Investigators said the victim was just standing in the station when two strangers walked up to him. A verbal dispute arose, and one of the men struck the victim in the head with a baseball bat multiple times, while the other suspect battered him with a 2x4. The paramedics took him to a local hospital with severe head trauma in a critical condition. The suspects ran out of the station and have not been caught, the authorities said. The police released a video of the pair walking together on the sidewalk. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. 23-year-old Makelly Durham is behind bars after two children in her care were hospitalised, with one of them dying. At around 9:10 p.m. on the 13th of September, the authorities responded to a home on County Road 380 in Corinth, Mississippi, on a report of an unresponsive child. When officers arrived, they found a 2-year-old toddler boy with bruises and marks on him. During a search of the home, deputies also found an 11-month-old infant girl suffering from multiple injuries. Both victims were transported to a local hospital. Upon further investigation, the authorities learned that Makelly was babysitting the children when they sustained their injuries. Makelly had a misdemeanor warrant and was arrested and booked into the Elkhorn County Jail. 2 days later, on the 15th of September, the 2-year-old baby boy died from his injuries, while the 11-month-old girl remains in a stable condition. Makelly now faces charges for capital murder for the boy's death and felony child abuse for the assault on the girl. She remains held at the Elkhorn County Jail without bail. 19-year-old LaQuavian Bell is behind bars after being accused of fatally shooting 21-year-old Devon Bills. The incident occurred at around 1:30 a.m. on the 15th of September, when the authorities responded to a mobile home park located at 4560 South Hydraulic Avenue in Wichita, Kansas, on reports of a shooting. When first responders arrived, they found Devon laying unconscious with 2 gunshot wounds to his upper body. Despite performing life-saving measures on him, the medics pronounced him dead at the scene. The authorities said that Devon and several other people were outside the home hanging out when a verbal argument between LaQuavian and Devon ensued, and LaQuavian shot Devon twice. He then fled the scene in a vehicle. LaQuavian was arrested later that afternoon, and he's held at the Sedgwick County Jail. He's charged with murder, criminal possession of a firearm, and failure to comply.